Have you ever had rough idle, loss of MPG, decreased power, or overall just misfires and your engine running a little bit rough? It might be due to this $8 part right here. And if you don't know what that is, I don't know what to tell you. This is a spark plug. We're going to be doing them on my 2005 4Runner with the 2UZ-FE V8 engine. Overall, pretty easy to do. Wanted to make this a really straightforward DIY video. The reason why I'm making it is that a lot of videos seem to miss certain steps that I want to show for the much more newer people who find jobs like this a little more intimidating. So I'm going to tell you what hung me up the most and make it really straightforward, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys like me doing these DIY videos and keeping them really to the point, please let me know. Give me some comments, feedback in the comment section below. You know, there's so many weird granular details that people just don't talk about. They just label it as, hey, it's easy, just go and do it. And then you run into a really weird snag that you can't really think about. So I'm gonna tell you exactly how I got through those. So let's go ahead and start this. So let's talk about the parts and tools you're going to need before we jump into this job. I'm going to give you a little infographic. Go ahead and feel free to pause this, wherever you need to do to gather all your stuff, make sure it's all aligned. And we're on our way. So I'm taking off the cover, 10 mil, no issues at all. Mass airflow sensor, unclip that, good to go. You got to take off the boot here, 10 mil on that screw. You can undo that and then you're good to go on pulling that off. Quick tip for this part, just look out for any sort of hoses like I'm going to have zoomed in here that you have to pull off. It's going to be pretty easy to align them and see which ones need to go back in place when you doing the reverse process and wrapping everything up, but just make sure that you don't pull this hose and yank on some vacuum lines that are important. Just visually check that nothing's obstructed before you remove this. Now I have some extra wiring because I did the Hewitt bypass kit on mine. So what I did was I just rotated it over, let it rest on top of the intake, and it was perfectly fine there all throughout the job. This next part is optional, but I highly recommend it because it makes life so much easier, and all you have to do is knock out these 12 mil bolts, and this is going to remove the airbox entirely. So that's what I'm going to do. I removed the airbox for this job because the access to the left side cylinders or the passenger side cylinders are so much easier if you just pull this thing off. There's nothing technical about it. It's really easy. Trust me, just take the few minutes it takes to pull this off and you'll thank me later. Oh, look at that. Easy access to your cylinders, and now you're not having to pull out a million extensions for the passenger side as well. Now these clips that I'm zoomed in on here are somewhat sensitive because this is a 20-year-old vehicle now, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. So for the ignition coil clips, what I did was I loosened them up and then I took a pick with an angle on it to work it back and forth and then use the clip to pull up on the tab. That way this thing unclips a lot easier than me just yanking on it and being a total Neanderthal and breaking something. I don't want to break these clips because again, that's what's providing electricity to your ignition coil to then create spark. Now I'm spraying this down with some air for the purpose of getting rid of any loose debris on the top of the cylinder. Definitely don't want to get any sort of dirt down in the cylinder head itself. So that's why I did that before unclipping these. So the farthest cylinder that's closest to the passenger side cabin, you're going to have to use the dipstick and pull it in and out depending on what you're trying to take off. So the ignition coil, you're going to see later on in the video that you kind of have to manipulate that to pull some things out and get the spark plug in. No big deal on this side though, it was really easy, and this is the first time I've done this. Now after removing the 10 mil bolt to release the ignition coil, we can visually inspect them, make sure that they look okay. These don't look burnt. They all looked pretty good, spoiler alert. So I pulled all of them out. They looked very consistent, just had some dirt on the top part. You might want to wipe that off. But again, it doesn't hurt to visually inspect these. It is about $300 to get new OEM ones. And this is what I was talking about with the dipstick. You just gotta get a little creative on how you move this in and out. Nothing crazy at all. The hardest part is gonna be on the driver's side, and everything else is a pretty much rinse and repeat motion. Guys, we got easy access now. Look at that. Right there. You can see down into my engine, which is really cool. Pro tip, get the extension tool with the swivel head, because having a 5/8 socket that has that rubber grommet thing at the end to pick up the spark plug itself is super helpful. Guys, it's about $15 again to make your life so much easier. This is a moment where having a specialized tool really comes in handy, saves you some headache and time. Just spend the money, go out and get it, and you'll thank me later. Now, this is controversial, a little bit out of my pay grade, but some people say you do or don't need anti-seize. It kind of depends on the source that it's coming from. I did not see any sort of anti-seize on these plugs, and I know they've been in there for a minute. The Denso or NGK plugs that you can get, from what I've heard, it has some sort of coating on the steel, because sometimes steel binding to aluminum heads could seize up over time. I've heard that you don't need to do it specific to these plugs. The way they came out on every single cylinder, spoiler alert again, was really easy, wasn't hard at all. So I'm just gonna go off the basis of I don't need to put anti-seize on these before putting them back in. Now, the nightmare scenario for this is cross-threading the spark plugs into your head. And so that's why I'm doing this by hand, making sure that I can hand tighten this until it comes to a stop, so I know that the threads are running out. And then it gives me a perfect opportunity to then come back and torque it to spec. And as I posted in the infographic, it's about 15 foot-pounds. Now, there was a point, since I don't typically do spark plug jobs, this is the first one I did, where I didn't want to over tighten it, so I unthreaded one, put it back in, and then tested it again, just to make sure that it did feel like roughly 15 foot-pounds, and that's how I kind of double checked before ratcheting it down and stripping it out potentially. And then guys, everything past this is gonna be just the reverse process. So you saw me put the ignition coils back on top, and then the 10 mil socket goes back on to bolt down the ignition coils. And then we just need to clip in the electronics to that and make sure that's good to go. You're gonna see me do a pass where I just double check that all of them are tightly secured and really on the ignition coil, and there's nothing, no funny business in that. And then you're done with 4 of the 8 cylinders. So now we can move on to the other side. So visually, it's going to be really easy to spot all the cylinders they need to get to. The tricky part is the last cylinder, again, closest to the cabin. There's going to be a 10 mil bolt where it releases some sort of vacuum line or fuel line. I'm not totally sure, but all I knew is that I needed to be able to manipulate that line more. You're going to see me pull it like that. There you go. That gives me more access to unclipping the ignition coil and giving me enough space to pull out the whole ignition coil itself. Once that's done, you can follow the same process and start removing the spark plugs on this side. Now, you're gonna notice the metal lines that are around the brake booster are gonna get in the way. So I had to get a little bit creative with the extensions that I had and the U-joints that I had, and I had to build this monstrosity of an attachment to get access to that last cylinder. So this is what that looks like. So this phallic looking thing, you need the flexibility here, and this is exactly why. Those metal lines are gonna get in your way. You're gonna have to use something outside of that attachment that I had. If you had a 3-inch specialty attachment, you could use that, but just get creative, use the stubbier, shorter extensions, use the longer ones, whatever you need to do. You'll be able to get through it, I promise. You just might have to run to the parts store if you don't have access to a bunch of tools, but you will eventually get through it, I promise. So I finally used a magnet, got that one out, and then redid the whole process. Now this is me finalizing it, checking on each single ignition coil, and everything looks good. So now we just reverse everything, guys. We put everything back together, 12 mil bolts to get the airbox back on, put the air filter back on, and the intake hose, all that good stuff. Just reverse the order. Should be very easy. Nothing too crazy with this at all. And then visually inspect everything. Make sure that you're not leaving any tools out or hoses are unplugged, whatever it might be. Make sure you cover all of that thoroughly.
Here I got 4% battery. I'm gonna try. Sounds pretty good.
Cool. I'm happy to report, on a work night, I had to get this done, and I was able to get it done in about 3-ish hours. And that's with recording and all things that come with that. Spark plugs came out pretty easy. Didn't run into a snag where they were all seized up in there. That is more advanced, out of my pay grade, but thankfully it all worked out. This job, I mean, if you went to other shops, they'd probably charge you anywhere from $400 to $600, depending on if you're going to an independent shop all the way to a dealer. Save the money, go spend $80-ish on the parts themselves, and honestly, I'm glad I did it because now my 4Runner runs a little bit smoother. Do more DIY stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.